Good morning, YouTube. Today, I'm going to talk about how we got where we are today because I keep hearing that question a lot and everybody's really confused. And I've got some ideas and I'm going to share them with you. Now, everybody's at each other's throats in this election. Okay? You've got the people that are voting for Biden, and these people, if you want to boil down to it, they like the status quo. They like the way things were. They don't want things to change because they perceive themselves as profiting from that. Okay? If things change, they might not do as well as they used to. And these particular people are very risk averse. Okay? And they're used to getting their way, so they're throwing a tantrum. Whereas the other people, the people that support Trump, they're not happy with the way things have been going. They certainly haven't been profiting from or benefiting from this economy, and they want to change. They want to change, and they're demanding a change. And I think it's very dangerous for people to ignore uh, uh, their uh, uh, their feelings on this issue, and that's what's going on. You've got the status quo people that are absolutely refusing to address the concerns of the Trump supporters. Now, how did this happen? How did it get this way? Well, in my opinion, it all goes back to the 2001 recession. Okay? And surprise, surprise, there's some people that are listening to this that probably don't remember that recession. But I remember it quite well. I lived through it. And one of the things I noticed uh, is that uh, Wall Street decided that the economy didn't have to benefit everyone to recover. They realized that 70% of the GDP was personal consumption. And this graph on the screen bears that out. And 70% of that consumption, of that 70%, was the top 10%. So they came to the conclusion that to get the economy up and running, they didn't have to recover the economy for everyone. They only needed to recover the economy for the very top people. Okay? And that's what they did. And they did that by driving labor down. Okay? And they did that two ways, outsourcing and insourcing. So they opened up the borders and allowed the Central Americans to come flooding into the country to go after the menial labor jobs. And then they started outsourcing the middle class jobs to India and China. And by doing that, they were able to increase the revenues of these large corporations. And since the top 10% own these corporations, that increased their income. So they were able to recover quite nicely. But the rest of the country was left behind. Now, when this idea was first suggested, there were people that said this is treason. You can't do this. We were ignored. And we were punished for our opinions and our inability to keep our mouths shut. Okay? So what happened after that? Okay. So the wages stagnated, um, and the top people used various ways to distract the people. Okay, like the wars. They used the wars to keep people distracted, and they juiced the economy by uh, allowing to taking off all the restrictions for borrowing. At the same time, changing the bankruptcy laws so that it was impossible to get out of the debt. And all that went boom in 2008. So now they got a problem. The people aren't happy. So they decided they needed to distract the people some more. Okay. So they ratcheted up the wars, and they ratcheted up the race baiting. Okay. All in a bid to distract the people. And then in 2016, something extraordinary happened. Someone that didn't belong to their club took over the executive branch of the federal government and brought all their evil plans to screeching halt. And that's when the panic started to set in. At this point, it's not so much a panic about them not doing well financially. They're panicking because their treason is going to be exposed. They know that when the American people realize how their elites, their political elites, their economic, industrial elites, the academic elites, the media elites, how they all sold them out to foreign interests and got rich off the commissions. When they realize that, when the people realize that, and a large number of them have, there's going to be hell to pay. There are going to be some structural changes, systemic changes, that is going to make it impossible for them to pull this off again. And worse than that, they might actually be held accountable for their criminal behavior. Hence the panic. So in the last year, they have pulled out all the stops to try and prevent Trump from getting reelected. Don't let anybody fool you. This COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic was no accident. It was unleashed upon us to crush the economy in the hopes that they could blame it on Trump and somehow drive down his poll numbers. Okay? All this rioting, all this racial animosity, all this class warfare, it's all them stirring the pot, try to get us distracted and fighting amongst themselves in the hopes that they won't be held accountable. Now the question is, will they succeed? Well, if history is a guide, they're not. They crossed a line a long time ago, and now it's time to reap the whirlwind. Regardless of what happens in this election, the American people will no longer tolerate the illegitimate rule of the corrupt elites. They will be brought down one way or another. This is the way the universe works. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little chat. Enjoy your day.